Hello,
Okay, Matt.
welcome to Pathways to Peace Symposium. We are working today on how to create peace inside of us and around us. And we are exploring with different people how to get peace inside and to get it out into the world. As you guys, I'm sure you know, there's a big need for peace nowadays. We have found that it's very, very, very difficult to get to peace without having some control or some understanding and awareness of our emotions. And so we are working on emotional intelligence, and we are working what we call EQ or SEL, and we're working on how to get that out into the world so that people can understand how to create peace in their lives and around them, hoping that this will someday get to big peace, big peace. So our next speaker is Mr. Bob Ingram, who I'm very proud to call a friend who we've been working with for a couple years now. He has a wonderful way of putting things and explaining things that makes a lot of sense to me and to other people. So he's going to do a presentation on what do we got? The language of peace. About communication skills and such. And this is super critical, not only as a language of you talking to yourself, but also language of you talking to other people and listening to other people so that we can create better relationships and such. So, Bob, take it away, bud.
Hey, thanks, Matt. I'm now shifting, see if it comes up.
Yep.
It has come. All right. Just a little quick information about myself. Doc, I'm a Texas Aggie.
All right.
All right. I got my bachelor's in psychology at Texas A&M University and a master's in counseling from Western Kentucky. I've worked for the federal government for 43 years until I retired in June of 2019. The last 22, 23 years of it was as a leader developer, developing leaders for the Army Civilian Corps of the United States Army. 300,000 people in there. So background is leader development, and I've got 20 plus years of working as an EQ practitioner, certified by 6 Seconds. I hate the word expert. I am far from it. Just think about it for a minute. What does X mean? And then spurt. So those things in there. And I have two real philosophies in my life. One is I believe that we are only limited by our imagination, and honesty without compassion is brutality. And so, having grown up as a Navy brat and then spent 43 years working for the Army, being in the Corps Cadets at Texas A&M, I know pretty much about following instructions type thing. But really, as a member of the armed forces, our job is to obtain and maintain peace on a global set. But that's done in a way that most people just don't like to do. And so we might want to before we go too much further, we might want to take a look at what does peace mean to us? There we go. So just real quick, what do you think? What does peace look like? What's it sound like? What's it feel like? I don't have any words following these. I'd like to hear some from you. What's it look like? Go ahead.
That picture is good.
Oh, was I over speaking?
No, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So for me, like, in my opinion, what does peace look like? Just harmony, balance, balance of the heart and the minds, balance of work and home. it's harmony, balance. I think in all ways, all aspects. For me, that's what it is.
Okay. So that's what it feels like, being harmonious, in balance, and such.
For me, it feels like no fear, no anxiety, no anger or rage, no sadness or grief, no guilt, no shame, no depression. None of those, things. That for me, when I've cleared that out, for me, I feel at peace.
Okay. So safe
Safe
as
and
well.
no big negative emotions. The
Yeah.
absence of negative emotions, we naturally, I guess, feel kind of peaceful and calm, and kind of like that lake, the picture that's on the screen, feel like that. It's good. Everything's fine.
Okay. Some other things. I mean, it's real nice to be able to say this is how it feels. But Doc, you talked about the pictures.
Yeah,
Pictures say 1,000 words. What does it look like?
I agree with Melissa and of course Doc for sure. There's one word that comes to my mind that for me, when I think of peace, I think of, well, not just stability, but it's surrendering.
Tell us more.
It's surrendering to something that's greater than myself, peace. What does it look like? It's being being okay, being vulnerable in that space, having not that, the chaos of the white noise of this world or within ourselves, you know, um, creating a safe space, like that security, stability, surrendering to something that's, like I said, bigger than me. It's being at peace.
It's hard to define being
It
at
is.
peace.
And there's a word, I gotta find the word, but there's a word that says, I'm gonna find it for you. I'll find it. But there is
Okay.
a word it's indescribable. It's
Mhm.
indescribable. And I forgot what the word is. I always forget it, but I'm gonna find it.
I would love to know it. That goes with that. Peace is such a rich environment, climate, even culture, uh, if we can get to it. We have fleeting moments of it in our own personal lives, personally, relational. Another word that comes up for me around peace is relationship. And the reason for that is that peace can't be done solo. It can't be done by one person and only one person. Now, I can personally obtain inner peace, but that's not living in this world. We have relationships. So peace is directly tied to the concept of it's relational. It goes with it. So when I see peace happening, I see more than just me. I see the people around me. I see cities, nation states, all striving to be at a harmonious set, uh, collaborative, trusting, those things. And I hesitate to put my next slide up there because I'm going to the to the opposite end of the spectrum. Because while we struggled with defining or saying what peace looked like, I don't think that we'll have much difficulty of describing what does the opposite of peace look like, or sound like, or feel like. This is where I get to ask you the questions and hope for the answer. And if you want, you can put them in the chat and we can capture all this. But, what is the opposite of peace? If you go to the
I
full
think
technology, go ahead, Melissa.
I think that Renee was saying it. I agree with the way she described it, how it is like chaos. And I'm not too sure about the white noise, because white noise to me is almost calming. So for me, it wouldn't be the white noise, but definitely the chaos of everything and life, the confusion, the disconnection of really all of it. So I definitely agree with the way Renee had described it.
I was looking at, for me, the other side of the right brain. And for me, the opposite of peace would be watching a storm on the beach at Pismo Beach, watching the thunder clouds, the ocean just churning and destroying anything it hits or turns into.
Hmm.
To me, a storm on the coast would be a right brain picture that I would see as the opposite of peace.
For me in Kansas, a tornado coming through.
Tornadoes.
Yeah, being caught outside and a tornado's coming. Yeah. And it would be loud. It would be painful because there's a lot of hail with it. Nobody wants to get hit with hail. I would guarantee you that. That hurts. Uh, so
I imagine, if I could, I'd imagine too that one of the big characteristics of not peace is powerlessness, right? Partly is stuff's happening and there's not much I can do about it. It feels very unpeaceful. Is the word.
absolutely. I mean, just thinking about that. But how easy has this been to describe as compared to the other part? Uh, and that goes back to you, Doc. You know, in terms of the right brain side of the house, uh, how much, if we were to take an inventory of the images in our mind, where is most of our focus? Do we have a lens that is shaded by fear and distrust and things like that? Do I, you know, as a as someone who is working with people to help them become better leaders, I would also often ask them this question. When you walk into a new organization and you're going to be the new leader, what do you look for? Do you look for the things that are going wrong? Or are you looking for the things that they're doing almost right? Because that sets up a viewpoint of how people are, one, are going to see you, and two, how you see them. So once again, uh, it's back to checking what lenses am I wearing when I take all of that. So do I go and put my peace lens on, and do I take a look and see how I'm contributing and enabling to have a safe, trusting, growing, thriving environment? Or do I see everything that's wrong and I become afraid? There's a thing that goes with it. Now, so let's take a look at, you know, the things that we tell ourselves. The language that we have often describes or paints the picture of, you know, how we think or view ourselves and the relationships around us and the relationships of our culture and society. Think about how you talk to yourself sometimes. Uh, is it shaming, or is it and blaming, or is it one of accountability? Once again, I believe in a peaceful society there will be accountability where I account for what I did. And is there judgment there? There may be. But do I blame? Because when I blame in a relationship,
Bob, you're bringing up something else, which is, and at least what I'm hearing, you're bringing up the idea of expectations.
absolutely, because there. Expectations are a part of it. You know, especially in my work with organizations, and think about it. I would ask you this: what is the number one problem in organizations? What do you think? And I'd take it to relationships as well.
I
What do you think
don't,
it is?
I don't want to say people, but
They're part of
communication.
it.
I would say communication. That's what I see. That's one of the huge ones. I mean, that's the reasons why number one, divorce. I mean, it's everywhere.
Actually, it's
But
simpler than that.
yeah.
It is much simpler than that. And I would offer out to you that it would be this: unmet expectations.
Mm,
The number one problem with relationships, education, organizations is unmet expectations. Now, communication contributes to that,
true.
all right? But there's so much more than that around. But the fact that, and Doc, thank you for bringing that out in terms of, I didn't plan to go that way, but, let's have that talk. Uh, think about it for a moment. What creates the most discord in relationships? Those expectations which don't get met.
People reacting off those expectations that weren't clear in the first place and based on assumptions.
Absolutely. And you know what assumptions or assume means, right? The donkey becomes me, right? Uh, so here's another piece for you. How many folks practice CYA? Now, I have to ask you, what first went through your head when you heard CYA?
For me, it would be the fear of rejection, fear of
Okay.
abandonment.
Hmm.
So I'm protecting myself from you or from the society rejecting me.
Okay. You know, uh, CYA for a lot of people means cover your assets. Really, in fact, though, it can mean and probably ought to mean challenge your assumptions
Ooh, ooh.
or check your awareness
I would agree.
in there, because it is that blind spot which we have that we allow. We make these assumptions and we have no idea what the intent of the other person is until we get to talking with them, communicating with them, um, developing a relationship with them. Now, Marshall B. Rosenberg, he's a big guy who came out with the concept of nonviolent communication. He's no longer alive. He's passed. Uh, he wrote a book, The Heart of Nonviolent Communication, and he titled it The Language of Life. And I stole from him the language of. I put peace in there and included life because peace is about living in there. But this quote that he has here, what I want in my life is compassion, a flow between myself and others based on a mutual giving from the heart. This is really truly a hard thing to do because it requires us to trust, it requires us to take risk, it requires me to be accountable as well, and to state my expectations and such. But the model which he had was this. He said, we have to empathically listen And we have to listen with more than just ears. We have to listen with our eyes and our heart and such, because we're going to listen to take observations, feelings, to hear the needs and wants of the individual, and then try to understand the requests that they are making. And there's the other side of it. After the requests and all that's going in, I have to be able to honestly express, to share with the other my observations about the situation, my feelings about it. What are the things that I want and need? And then to be able to make the request, because that ties in exactly, Doc, to your statement about expectations. I'm talking about expectations. If I don't understand what my wants and needs are, you certainly can't. And if I don't ask for them, there's no way for me to be able to get them. And the same thing for, trying to hear it and see, have the other person tell me the same thing. If they don't tell me what their wants and needs are, it's a shot in the dark for me to be able to meet them. I often ask people when working with them, throw away your mind reading card. Just be upfront and just ask. Tell me what the needs and wants are. Nothing says that you have to meet those needs and wants, because you may not be capable of it. You may not be inclined to do that, but at least it's out on the table. Most folks can give you the data. I'm going to take it to the next slide here for a moment, because observations are the data. They're the things that we see, we hear, we smell, we touch, all of that. That's data. It's both on a sensory level and a cognitive level. We see it in writing, all of that. But those are observations. Observations just data. What happens a lot of times in terms of relationships, and even with myself, I get the feelings, the emotional tie to that. But believe it or not, feelings are data. We just don't know how to understand them. It's those pictures, Doc, that we can't interpret, so we assign meaning to them. Because we have this visceral, affective thing that, aspect that comes in. But it's still data. All right? But because we are not skilled and practiced at understanding it and identifying what those things mean or are associated with, it gets lost. It gets ignored, or it becomes overwhelming.
Right. We need to wrap up, Bob.
Okay, I'll move it here.
All right.
So,
Great stuff.
once we have, get in here, it is okay to go and say, this is what I need, this is what I want. But I have to ask for it. So I need to know that and such. And I need to teach and model for the people around me this same piece. Because the only way that this works, it requires that we have to have a sense of love. And love, I don't mean from the erotic set. I mean love in the sense of, unconditional positive regard for another human being.
Nice.
Come on.
Nice.
Yeah, I had one thing because this expectation, I see it all the time. One of the things that I see, that's the major cause of conflict. That's the major cause of judging people. You're stupid, you're dumb because you're not living up to my expectation. Matt, you have a great response to that. And I like it. When instead of judging somebody or judging yourself, oh, I was dumb, that was stupid. instead of doing that, Matt says, do you remember? Okay. Matt says, when you're looking, instead of judging, you say, isn't that
Oh,
interesting?
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you, because otherwise you will judge either yourself or somebody else if they're not living up to your expectation, if you're not living up to your expectation. But taking the judgment off, and you got to substitute something, and that would be substituting, isn't that interesting? I really screwed that up. I don't think I want to do that again.
And Doc, you're absolutely right in terms of it. Judgment, suspension of judgment is extremely important in all of this because one, compassion and empathy have to happen, but the bedrock of it is I have to suspend judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Suspending judgment is so difficult.
Yep.
And it goes in there. Just think about it for a moment. You hear something, and people are giving a litany of things, and all of a sudden something you hear doesn't quite ring right for you.
Mm.
You stop listening. Yep.
Yep.
And you want to go back and correct it or answer it or challenge it or whatever. That doesn't happen when you suspend judgment. You just take the information in. And then afterwards, you put it together.
Nice.
Nonviolent communication is extremely difficult to do. It's hard, but it's so worth it.
Most of this stuff is hard. It's simple, but it ain't easy. All right.
And they call it the soft skills, right?
Yeah, right. Listen to learn.
The last thought that I have to give out here is this. When you take a look at the Chinese ideogram for the verb to listen, you have to have your ears, you have to think, you have to feel, you have to have it through your heart. You must remain focused. You must use your eyes. And most of all, you have to be present.
Nice.
And as you see, Musty goes on and says there's no way to peace. Peace is the way. Well, if we can't define it, how in the world can we do it? So
Cool. All right. I'm sorry we don't have time for reflections. We're going to have to shut her down.
no.
So yeah, I appreciate it. There's great presentation. NVC is the way to go. If you guys haven't, you might consider that book. There's NVC, cnbc.com or .org, I believe is right there. It is cnbc.org has some amazing stuff on there. Lots of good information, YouTubes. They do workshops, etc. It's a whole different way of talking, and it's fabulous. So save you tons and
there are
tons
a
of
couple of
your life.
PDFs out there that are free to the downloads and such out there as well.
Yep.
The Nonviolent Communication book that Rosenberg wrote, it's on Amazon in there. And if you're lucky enough, you might get it for $4.44.
There you go. All right. Thank you again, Bob. Appreciate it.
All right.
And yes, well done. Great stuff and super related to peace, completely relevant to peace. So, okay. Thank you.
Well, and I guess it's Renee's time.